Welcome to the Wholeness and Wellness podcast. I'm your host, Megan Toops, founder of Libra Living Wellness Limited. This is episode 4 called Real Talk Reflection. Today's topic is going to be Beyond Barriers, where we're going to be talking about overcoming limiting beliefs to live your best life. This is the second Real Talk Reflections, and I think I mentioned in the first one that these Real Talk Reflections are something that I'm doing individually, just sharing my reflections and insights about my own personal wellness path. And something I've been reflecting on lately is discovering those limiting beliefs that hold us back. So let's jump in. Now, when I think of limiting beliefs, I've done a lot of work with this personally and have kind of done some online courses about it. I kind of think of it as when we're young versus now when we're older. When we're young, we tend to absorb everything around us. We care what other people think. We care about their opinions about us. And like I mentioned, we kind of absorb what's around us. So I think that's where a lot of our limiting beliefs are rooted. We take on the same kind of beliefs. Like if other people have limiting beliefs that are around us that we grow up with, we tend to kind of take on those as well until we get older and start to kind of develop our own belief systems for ourselves. Now, it's not to say, I think a lot of times we still carry some of those same insecurities or limiting beliefs into adulthood, but we're able to kind of work through some of them a little bit easier because we start, to think for ourselves. We start to grow into our own person. And I do like, as you get older, those limiting beliefs a lot of times hold us back from living our best life, from doing the things that we really want to do. And a lot of that, all of that is rooted in fear. And I could probably do a whole episode on fear. Maybe I'll say that for another Real Talk Reflection episode. But yeah, is our fear gets in the way, which is attached to those limiting beliefs we have. And it could be really anything. Oops, sorry. Hopefully didn't hit the mic, make a sound. It could be, fear of failing, fear of being successful. Those seem to be very common limiting beliefs. Fear that there's not enough money or abundance or enough for you to succeed. There's so many things that it could be, and it's different for everyone. And I personally, I think have, worked through a lot of things. Again, I think I've been spending a lot of time reflecting on the person I was when I was younger. And the reason for that, little side note time, you'll get to see that I love to do side notes. My 20-year reunion for high school is coming up. And I think I've been reflecting a lot of the person I was when I was like a child, and then the person I was in high school, the person I was in university, until the person I am now. And I am, of course, I'm still me at the core, but I have changed so much as a person because, like, I think of that little girl. How I used to be so shy, and I remember very clearly, I went to after school daycare, and I don't know, I was probably like, let's say 5, and I would sit in the corner waiting for my mom to pick me up and would literally cover my face so no one would talk to me or something. And I used to be so shy, and I think that stayed with me for a while. I was quiet, but then with the people that, I was comfortable with, I was more myself. And I think that kind of goes with everyone. Like, if you're comfortable with someone, you're more yourself with those people. But anyway, I still think of If I would see that little girl and the me today, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have, jumped through a lot of limiting beliefs, and pushed through a lot of fears and have become, a better version of myself. And I'm still learning. Like I find there's still challenges. I feel like probably till the day I die, I'm going to be learning and growing and trying to face limiting beliefs. I've been working on some myself right now, and I do find, like I said, still learning. Um, when we think about limiting beliefs, a lot of times they're not aware to us until we're like, gosh, why is this not working? Why am I having resistance in this situation? And if we take that time to self reflect, it's because we have limiting beliefs. And like I said, I feel like a lot of times we are not mindful, or that awareness is not there, that we're holding on to some limiting belief. And it could be, something at a surface level, something that was created out of an experience we've had, or it could be something from childhood that we've had for years and years and years that we've held on to, never dealt with, never changed to something positive, and is still affecting us to this day. Um, and kind of want to say more on that is like with dealing with limiting beliefs. I do something in my coaching sessions. So little promotion here for wellness coaching, but in the emotional intelligence section of my coaching, we do stuff in regards to limiting beliefs. There's like kind of a activity that we do called the table leg method. And essentially what it is you have your old limiting belief as the tabletop, and you think of all the evidence that of why you had that limiting belief. Like let's say it's I'm trying to think of something now on the spot. Like if it's fear of failure, like I feel like I'm going to fail. Well, why? And then you think of all the reasons why you have that belief, and that becomes the like table legs for that belief. And essentially, what you want to do is then replace that limiting belief with a positive belief instead. So you think of the belief that you want to have instead, and then find evidence to support that. And the idea is to kind of break apart that limiting belief with a better, more positive one, with supporting evidence to back it up as well. Like if you have that limiting belief of, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to fail, and then you list all the reasons why, replace it with, I believe I'm going to be successful. And you think, and a lot of times the evidence is like, other people have been successful, other people have did it. And the idea, hopefully I'm explaining this correctly, is to have more table legs and more supporting evidence for that new positive belief. So that way it stands strong, stands firm like a table, and you can change that. So it's one little kind of activity we do in wellness coaching and emotional intelligence. Now, like I've said, I still struggle tremendously with limiting beliefs, and I'm working through some right now, and I can go a little side note of, it's the power of our thinking is so strong. Again, this could be another episode. Is we have those limiting beliefs, number one, and when we tend to reinforce those limiting beliefs, again, going back to the example of having the limiting belief of, oh, I'm gonna fail. Well, if you're constantly feeding into that belief by saying, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, I don't have the skills to do this, I'm this person's better than me, then you're feeding that negativity, that limiting belief. So stop, easier said than done, and do something more positive. That positive belief, I am going to be successful, or I am successful. Big thing is about always making it in present tense. I am successful. So it's also, again, bringing in that awareness. And I do talk about awareness a lot through a lot of things, but that awareness of catching yourself. Okay, I'm having this negative limiting belief, and maybe spending some time with it as to why you're having that limiting belief, or maybe even looking at the root of it. Where did this limiting belief come from? Maybe it came from someone else and you took it on, right? So sometimes you have to dig a little bit deeper into it, which is not always pretty and not always comfortable, but to really get to the root of it, so that way you can make that positive change and make it into a positive belief instead. And I'm telling myself the same, like I'm talking to myself while I'm talking to all of you, because like I said, I still struggle, and I'm struggling currently with limiting beliefs. And it's to say we're not perfect, and we're not going to overcome all those limiting beliefs. I think we're going to be forever growing and forever learning until the day we die. And I think it's not to think, oh gosh, I wish I could just know everything and feel confident in myself right now. But things take time. And I think it's, again, being kind to yourself and gentle with yourself while you're doing that inner work. Now, some, I guess, triumphs that I've had with limiting beliefs. What I can say is, again, going back to that little girl covering her face to the girl or woman that I am now, I can look back and be like, oh my gosh, wow. Like, because a lot of times I find I have moved past the fear, and I think that's triumph, is pushing past the fear in anything. And of course not doing something like without, doing maybe some research or whatever, but pushing past the fear and doing something anyway despite the fear, because I feel like that's where you grow. And again, when you're doing anything and you do it a few times, that those first nerves and first fear that you have tend to go away. I mean, I definitely, I think an example of that I think of is like kind of networking or talking to people that I don't know in a public space. Again, I used to be a very shy child, and I would cover my face. Now I feel like I could talk to anyone in the grocery store even. I could be like, oh, hey, how's it going? And just start up a conversation and probably talk too much. Um, so yeah, like I think of, again, going back to the inner child versus the me now, I've completely broken that barrier and that fear, we'll call it a fear barrier, and kind of come out on the other side and have grown as a person. Um, and again, doing those things, like I mentioned, when we do stuff repeatedly, it gets easier, right? It's gonna be hard work at the beginning, and like I said, sometimes it takes a little bit digger deeping. Is that deeper digging? There we go. Deeper digging to kind of uncover those limiting beliefs, because sometimes the limiting beliefs, they got a lot of table legs. It is so strong that you kind of have to dig deeper to uncover what the root of it is. What's the super glue? That's another part of it. Holding those legs together. So it can take extra work. And I know with any inner healing work, it's uncomfortable, it's messy. But just think of how better it's going to be once you build a new table, a new belief. It's going to feel great. It's going to make you feel more confident, more empowered. Because if you really think about it, those limiting beliefs are not doing anything good for you. Again, it could have been something you've carried with you from your childhood. Maybe at the time it was somewhat form of protection for you as well. But now it's not serving you in a positive light. And that's something also I'm trying to grab a hold of, in that, okay, these limiting beliefs are holding me back, and it's also holding us back from living the best life we can live, from being successful in the things that we want to do in our life. And it's just, I could get emotional now. Uh, it's just, it's really interesting, and it's cool to be more mindful of what's holding you back in your life. It's not always easy to acknowledge. Sorry, I don't want to cry. But it's really, really powerful to be mindful and be aware of those things that are holding you back, because then it allows you to see, hey, I'm standing in my own way. I need to do something about it. I need to make a change. I need to change these negative beliefs to something more empowering and positive. And again, creating that supportive evidence to make that new positive belief stand strong. Okay, good. I didn't have a meltdown cry. I need Kleenex. But this just lets you know how real this is for me, and how much on my mind it's been a struggle for me lately, that I'm working on. So yeah, I hope that kind of helps everyone today to spend that time to be more aware. I think a lot of times we stay away from being in tune with ourselves, because sometimes it can be dark and it can be messy and be very, very uncomfortable. And we don't want to feel that way. We want to avoid that at all costs. But if we avoid that, the long term is that we're going to be holding on to these limiting beliefs that are keeping us at one spot. Could be keeping us stuck from doing the things that we want to do. And who wants that? So my encouragement for everyone is do the uncomfortable work, the unpleasant work of uncovering your limiting beliefs, and then also doing the work to change them to something more powerful and more positive, so that you can live your best life. Because you never, this is the life we get. So make it amazing and enjoy the things that you want to do, and go after the things you want to do. Push past that fear and go after the things you want to do. So something I always like to promote something or share some exciting news today in my episodes. So I'm going to promote today. We're going to get a little lighthearted, get off the seriousness, is Guru energy drinks. They are organic energy drinks. They don't have all the crap in them. They are higher in caffeine. So if you have a caffeine sensitivity, like maybe only drink half a can. I used to have to do that sometimes and only drink half a can. Typically you can get ones that are low in sugar. This is only 9 grams of sugar, but they're delicious. They help me to have the energy I need. They're organic. So there's great natural ingredients. I believe they're Canadian as well. So Guru energy drinks. They have, I'm going to probably mess up saying this word, theanine. Sorry, I might have screwed that up. but it helps you to focus. And yeah, they're delicious. Um, so yeah, and they have lots of flavors as well. I want to thank everyone who tunes into this episode. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow on YouTube and Spotify. I am on Spotify as well. Check out website, check out my services. I'm always building new things, creating new episodes. I plan on writing a book, so stay tuned for that. There's a lot of work to be done for that, but I'm very excited about those things. So please, I welcome you to join in for these episodes. Again, I have short videos called Libra Living Liberations. They're all real and raw. I don't really edit anything out of it. As you can see today, I was starting to cry my eyes out. So that's real. But again, I thank you for tuning in to this episode, and I will have more Real Talk reflections. But thanks again for tuning in, and until next time.